Hi! Hello, my name is Ashley. Welcome to or welcome back. Today I'm talking about college. I want to start a new series on my channel, basically like College 101, where I break down different topics relating to college and talk about them, and give out any advice, tips, or whatever for people that are coming into college or are already in college and just want tips. So in today's video, I'm talking about the do's and don'ts of college. This video is probably more geared towards like freshmen or people who haven't been in college for a while, but I mean anyone can watch this. But if you're already in college, you might already know this stuff. So I am a senior. I feel like I have a good amount of experience even with COVID and shit. I was on campus for a bit before COVID even happened. Yay. I feel like I got a lot of tips and advice, and I remember how it felt freshman year. I had no idea what was going on, and I was so confused, and my freshman year was definitely the most unorganized for a lot of different reasons. Schedule-wise, COVID, a whole new experience, a new routine, meeting new people. There was a lot going on. I got a lot to say, so let's go. I think I'm gonna start with the don'ts, so then we can like kind of end on a positive note. Don't go home every weekend. I mean, this obviously depends on a lot of things, where you're going to college, where you're living, and obviously if you absolutely have to go home for like work or babysitting or whatever. But a lot of people go to college, especially if they're only like a couple hours away or whatever, and then they end up going home every single weekend, which makes it really hard to transition to college and make friends and do things and get that full college experience if you're just showing up to your classes and then you just drive home every single weekend. I mean, if you only live 5 minutes to your house, whatever, but if it's like a 2-hour drive, you're wasting a lot of gas, and to do that like all the time, there's a lot. Like, I'm not saying don't go home ever, just don't go home every single weekend. You're depriving yourself time at the school, which will go by quickly. I know it's very cliche, but as being a senior right now, it's very true. I suggest maybe like once a month. Don't get peer pressured to do things. If you're invited to something like a party or driving down to Walmart or whatever and you really don't want to do it, then don't do it, because you are now an adult and you get to make a lot of the choices yourself. And sometimes these things that you feel peer pressured into doing, you'll do them and then you'll highly regret doing it. I know it's good to do things sometimes and like take a risk or whatever, but there are certain lines, and it's also important to remember that this is your experience and you don't have to do anything you really don't want to do. If your gut is saying no, then listen to it. Don't make enemies or become strangers to your professors. Just make a name for yourself, go to the office hours, say hi, just talk to them at some point. Don't completely ignore your professors. They're not gonna really know you. You email them, hey, I've been really sick, or you got behind on something. If your professors know who you are and what's going on in your life, they might cut you some slack every once in a while. Or if you really can't go to the office hours, talk to them in class. Or even if you need to, just like email them. And wow, I can't talk. I am so excited for your class, looking forward to get to know you. Something just as simple as that can really make a difference. Don't buy your textbooks too early. I have spent so much money on textbooks that I never even opened. Especially because something could happen down the road where that class could get canceled. It has happened. If you do the class and you absolutely hate the class, you now have that textbook. You can either try to return it. It's just more work, and some places might not let you return it. I don't know the rules everywhere. So just like wait. I know like that's hard because sometimes some professors want you to have reading done before the class even starts, which I think is so stupid to do. If you're using the book for specific assignments and you have to reference back to the textbook, you're gonna need that textbook. So usually what I do is I wait till I get the syllabus for the class. I'll read the syllabus, figure out if they're even talking about the textbook very much. If it just says at the top, get this textbook, and that is it, there's a good chance you're not gonna actually need it. So get the syllabus. There's a hair on my camera. It's never happened. You can also just like email the professor, ask if there's like a free textbook or if there's one you can borrow or rent in the library or whatever. You could also see if the professor has a copy, because I know a lot of times if they teach the same class, they'll use the same book, so they might have a copy of it, and you can explain to them, hey, I'm trying to save money, is there any chance I could borrow your copy or something? And if the professor knows you and you're very nice, there's a good chance they might let you do that. There's also plenty of websites. I don't know how accurate some of them are. One of the first things, you can just go on Amazon. Just look up that exact book, see if Amazon even has it, and see if it is cheaper, because I have gotten some books through Amazon that were cheaper. Just do a lot of research. Just look up that book, the specific textbook, and just see what comes up. Don't overschedule yourself. I definitely learned this after my freshman year. That year was my worst because of what my schedule was. Mainly, it was all over the place. It sucked, and I was taking a really hard science class. The second science I took, I only did 3 classes instead of 4, because I knew I can't do 4 classes with a science, because the science is basically like 2 classes. I know the first semester might be hard because you don't really know what you like yet. You're not really an expert on scheduling. I mean, it's your first year in college. You have no idea what you're doing. Freshman year really opened my eyes to what I like and what I need for a schedule and what I absolutely cannot do. Another quick point off from that, it's okay to say to your advisor, like, no, I can't do that. Your advisor is there to support you, not command what you have to do. I mean, obviously there's certain classes you have to take. So if they're saying you have to take this class to get your major, I mean, that's different. But if they're forcing you to take a specific class at a specific time and you're saying, I can't do that, and they're not listening to you, you gotta put your foot down. And especially freshman year advisors are really big on pushing you into doing stuff and making a schedule that they think is great, but it does not work for you. So many of my friends took a gym class at 8 a.m. because you had to do that at my college. Well, you actually didn't get a credit. You just had to take the class with no credits and you paid for it. So the idea is great. I lost my train of thought. So many freshmen aren't like told like, hey, your advisor's just there to help you. Especially your freshman year, you have so much flexibility. If they're trying to force you into a science class, you could just wait and take science another time. It's good to listen to your advisor because they usually know what they're doing. And if you have a job, especially, try to work out, how many hours you're working and when you're working, and then try to make your schedule around that. If you're trying to work like a full-time job and be a full-time student and it's becoming too overwhelming, you might need to cut back a class or cut back on hours at work. Being stressed out in college and overworking yourself, it doesn't help you down the road. Don't take an 8 a.m. math class. I don't want to say too much about this because I have a lot I could say about it, and I'm not gonna rant because you're so used to high school. You think, oh, I'll just take an 8 a.m. class. I mean, my classes used to start at like 7. This ain't high school, babe. Your sleep schedule will change. But like once you start college, you'll start like, oh, going to bed at like 9, and then suddenly within a month, you're going to bed at like 1 a.m. When you have to be up at 8 a.m. for a class, especially if it's a math class like mine was, you're really gonna regret it and you're gonna be crying a lot. That's a guarantee. Like, people are morning people. I'm a morning person. I wake up at 7 a.m. Waking up early and being in a class early are 2 different things. I highly recommend not to take it at 8 a.m. unless you absolutely have to. And if you are going to take an 8 a.m. class, don't make it something that you really have to think, like a math class or like Spanish, science, anything that involves a lot of thinking. 8 a.m. your brain is not working yet. Trying to do math problems, listening, lecture, taking notes. Ugh. Don't feel bad about changing your major. I changed my major too many times. My goals, what I want to do, my schedule, so many things. Just don't feel bad about changing shit. I mean, so much happens. So much is changing. You change yourself, your whole routine, you meeting new people and all this stuff. So don't feel bad if you're changing and what you thought you wanted is now changing, because that happens. Don't overthink it. I kicked my tripod. And don't overthink it. Sometimes it's just changing your major. Sometimes it's like mixing up your schedule. I mean, there's so many things that you could change to personally make your experience in college better. And change is not a bad thing. Don't expect everything to go perfectly. It will be rough, just point blank. Sorry. There will be times where you'll be really upset and wondering why you even went to college. And even if you're one of the few lucky people that think it's going perfect and you have this huge group of friends, it most likely won't last. One big thing I learned in college is that not everyone stays. It's okay if it's not perfect, because no one's experience in college is absolutely perfect. So now the good part. I'm getting into the do's. Do the homework. Get assignments done as early as possible. The soonest you get the stuff done, the better it is, because you don't want to be turning in things late, because those grades can start to add up, or points deducted can start to add down and your grade goes down. Also, do fun things in between. It's a hobby you enjoy, joining a club, a sport, hanging out with friends. You need a balance of school and fun stuff. If you're just going to classes and just doing schoolwork, then you'll think, why am I here? This is so boring. You can't just be fully school focused because you're gonna get burnt out. Do try to save money as early as possible. I wish I had done this sooner. I didn't really start saving my money and not spending it till now, my senior year, because I realized, oh shit, I got loans and they're gonna be due very, very soon. But if I had started saving, even just like $10 a week or $10, just put aside $10 every single paycheck. School is very expensive, unless you're one of the few lucky people that go to college in another country where it's like free or very, very cheap. Well, I was gonna say I hate you, but instead I'm gonna say I wish I was you. Money is a thing that I avoided. I did not want to talk about money. I was like, don't talk about money. I don't know anything about that. And if you're in that boat, like I was,
to jump out.
I really want to just grab freshman year me and shake her, because I'm so mad at her for not caring or not thinking about it, because I was like, I don't know anything about loans. That's my parents. They do that shit. Like, I don't know money, you know, it gets paid somehow. Like, I literally had no idea how college was getting paid for me. My senior year, it was really like an eye-opener, and that it didn't just magically get paid by the FAFSA people, or you were one of the few lucky people whose like family stashed aside money. Great. You're all set then. But still save money, because you're an adult and there will be a lot of things you have to pay, which will mean money. Do get out of your room. Do not feel isolated in your dorm room or apartment or whatever. Don't just stay in your room. Get out. If you stay locked in your dorm or room, is there a phone ringing? If you stay locked in your room, you're gonna go insane. You don't even have to do anything big. Even if you just go for a walk for like 10 minutes outside, that's at least getting out of your room. You don't even have to socialize with people to get out of your room. Do stay in contact with family or friends at home if you can. Just because you're going off to college doesn't mean you have to now avoid and ignore everyone. If you absolutely hate all your family members, then try to stay in contact with a friend at least, or at least someone you hate the least. It makes it a lot easier to get through college if you feel like you're not completely alone. And it's okay if you lose your high school friends. That happens. Okay, because you'll make new friends and you'll find new purposes and new things you care about in life. At least like once a week, talk to someone. Do make use of any service offered. The amount of times my friends have told me, oh, I never have gone to the career services. Why? There are so many free services, and some of them I'm just finding out are offered now. I'm almost done. There's a personal trainer. There's free tutoring you can get. There's, you know, the career services, counseling services. Use the services offered. I have gone to the career counselors so many times because I'm constantly worried about what I'm going to do afterwards and my resume and what I'm doing and interviewing help and all this shit. They're there to help you with this stuff. Why not use it? There are some free events that they offer on campus. Go to those and get free shit. Get as much free shit as you can. Do keep your eye out for posters or flyers or anything that's on the walls, the lobbies and dorms, student centers. They put posters and flyers everywhere. Some of them are advertising things that you can go to, or free shit, information that might be helpful. I've heard so many people being like, oh, I didn't even know this was happening. And it's like they had a poster, you just didn't look at it. Not our fault. Boop, boop, boop. Last do is to buy your textbooks used or rented. This goes back to kind of my don't buy it too early. Try to find the cheapest textbook ever. Don't spend a lot of money. Unless your professors say it has to be brand new, which I've never heard as a thing. Get the cheapest option, if that's renting it or buying it used. Because so many like students buy books and then they'll sell it. Even if you're buying it off from students at your school, scavenge for them. Look on Amazon, cheap websites. Usually buying books used or renting them are the cheapest option. Saving money while in college is so important. That's all my do's and don'ts. Hopefully this video helped you in some way. If you have any other questions or something I didn't even mention, you could ask them and I'll try to answer them to my best. Being a senior in college, I feel like I have a lot of tips I can give, but I also don't feel like I'm like an expert either. Like there's so many things I'm still figuring out. Again, I wish I could go back and talk to freshman year me and give her these advice, because these are the biggest things I learned. If you are having a hard time, especially your freshman year, that is okay. It does not mean that college isn't for you and should immediately drop out. Again, if you want to drop out, really what you want to do, that's okay too. College is not for everyone. You don't have to go to college. Sometimes your first year is just really, really bad. But after you get through all those hiccups. I'm gonna say hiccups. It smooths out a little bit. Try to buckle through. At least get through a whole year and then decide. If your first year was like so bad, you're like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. That's fine. But at least you could say you got through one whole year and you experienced it. Again, if you absolutely hate it and you need to drop out, that's your choice. That's the biggest thing with college. Do what you have to do. So many times I tried to follow what my parents might think or what would blah, blah, blah want me to do. You know, it's like, why? I'm the one that's in college. This is my money. Why am I thinking about what someone else would do? Or if this person would be upset if I did this thing. Like, no, don't think that way. Think, what would Ashley want to do? Not like me. For yourself. Think what
your name
would do. And then do that. Do what you want to do. When I changed my major last year, I was worried what my parents might think. But I was like, you know, I'm so glad I did now. Because I am so much more happier and less stressed out than the major I was before. Just do it. Again, my name is Ashley. If you liked the video, well, like it then. And again, comment down below anything that I didn't answer, or if there was something you wanted to add to them, or just anything, I guess, to say. You can even let me know if you are in college, or where you're going to college, or what you're doing. You know, tell me about yourself. See you, hopefully, maybe, next Saturday when I upload my next video. That's right, I upload on Saturdays. And bye! I'm done. That's it. I'm done. The video's over. You can leave now. Bye. This video is over now. Over now.